Welcome back. In this tutorial, we will implement touch control for our game. Currently, we are controlling our player character using keyboard up and down arrow keys. We want to have control for mobile devices as well, such that when a user taps on left side of our screen, our player ducks, and when he taps on the right side of the screen, the player jumps. So we can use buttons to do this. Let me create a button. I will rename the panel to Game UI. And create a button for jump. This button covers the right part of the screen, so from middle to the right end. So scale the button to cover from middle of the screen to the right end. We want this button to remain transparent, so make the alpha in the colors to 0 to make it invisible. We don't need any text for this button, so delete the child object. Also adjust the anchors so that they cover from the middle of the screen of the canvas to the right end on both top and bottom part. Let me duplicate the button, rename it as duck, and move it left side of the canvas. Adjust the anchor so that it starts from the left end and covers up to the middle top and middle bottom. So the anchors will make sure the buttons will remain at the same position for different resolution of mobile devices. Now, inside our player controller script, when we press up arrow and when our player is not in air, we are calling the jump method. And when we press the down arrow, we call the duck method. And when we release the down arrow, we are calling the run method. So these three methods now need to be called when jump and duck buttons are pressed on the screen. So let's create a new method, call it as on jump button clicked or on jump button pressed. In here, we will check if our player is not in air and call the jump method. Create another public method on duck button pressed. We will call duck method from this. So let's add another method when we release the duck button. So we will call the run method when we release the duck button. Save the script. We will use event trigger methods to call these methods and not the buttons on click method that Unity provides. So select the jump button and add a component of type event trigger. So in the event trigger component, click on add new event type and select pointer down. Pointer down is similar to mouse click on desktop, and on mobile devices similar to a tap. Click on the plus sign and drag and drop the player object. Click on the function drop down. Select the on jump button pressed from the player controller script. So let us repeat these steps for duck button as well. So add the event trigger and pointer down event type. Then drag and drop the player controller and add the on duck button pressed to the pointer down method. So for duck button we also need a pointer up event type. So let's add that, and to the function types we want to call the duck button release function from the player controller script. Save our scene and let's test if this works. Now I'm pressing on the play button but my player is jumping. So this is because since our buttons are on top of the play button, the play button is not registering the click. So what we will do is we will disable the game UI panel at the start of our game and enable them once play button is pressed. Select the play button, click on the plus sign and then drag and drop the game UI. Then select GameObject.setActive. So enable the checkbox to make the object active when we press on the play button. Also drag the restart panel below the game UI panel to make it the first object to register for mouse click when a game over happens. Now save our scene and run our game one more time. I'll click on play, and now when I click on the right side of the screen, my player is jumping in the air, and if I press on the left side of the screen, he ducks. So this is working. But when our player is in air and when I press on duck, it's not bringing him down. So let's fix this issue. So in our player controller, to fix this, we can check if the player is in air and call duck in air method if the player is in air. Else we call duck method. So let's save our script and go back to Unity. Run our game. Now if I jump and press duck, okay, it's working now. Our player is falling to ground from air. So even though I'm still holding the mouse click, my player is not ducking once he lands on ground. So if we use the keyboard controls and I hold the down arrow from air, our player lands on ground and continues to duck. So let's try to achieve the similar kind of flow with our buttons as well. So go to our player controller script. I'll create a new variable of a boolean type and call it as hold duck button. Its initial value will be false, and when we press on duck button we will make it to true. Let me comment this part of the code. So wherever we are checking for down arrow, we will also add a check for the boolean variable that we have created, the hold duck button. Also when our player is in air inside over here, so we check for the boolean along with down arrow. And we will make this bool false when we release the duck button. Let us save our script and go to Unity, test one more time. I'll click on jump and then duck. We are doing a duck, we are still in duck animation. So we have a similar control as we have with the keyboard controls. So this is a simple way to have a touch based control. There are other ways to achieve the same, but this is simple and easy to achieve. So we will stick with this flow.